Well, hello, good evening, and welcome back to Rainbow Investing, where we examine a spectrum of ideas to improve your long-term wealth. Now, today we are looking at the Raiz app, the Raiz investing app, and how to make money with it. Raiz is an app that we've covered before on this channel, but not for a couple of years, so I thought I'd do a 2021 refresh and just run through how to use Raiz, what Raiz is all about, its fees, how it invests your money, how it works, and if it's right for you. So let's get right into it. So what exactly is Raiz? Well, Raiz is an investing app. It helps you invest your money. That's basically it in a nutshell. Now, Raiz is quite popular. It's one of the most successful investing apps in Australia, and many investors, particularly young investors, love using Raiz. As you can see on the screen, it has a very simple, very eye-pleasing user interface, and this carries across to its phone app as well. So when I say Raiz invests your money for you, what exactly does that mean? Well, essentially, Raiz invests your money in assets like shares, government bonds, cash, but we'll get more into that later. So when you start using Raiz, you'll notice that it has a couple of options for how to invest your money. You can either put in a lump sum, so a big lump of cash. You can set up a recurring direct debit, so you might want to invest $20 a week, $50 a month. With Raiz, you can do that. Or you can use what's called Roundups. So Roundups are like Raiz's signature move. You essentially attach your bank card to your Raiz account, and whenever you make a purchase, say you buy a coffee for $3.50, the Raiz app will round that up for you. So instead of spending $3.50, you'll spend, say, $4, and that extra 50 cents will go into your Raiz account, totally automatically. And that's why this feature is very popular, because you can easily increase the balance of your Raiz account without too much mental effort or even noticing too much. But let's actually get into how Raiz actually uses your money, because that's why we're all here, right? So as you can see here, Raiz has a number of different investment options you can pick from. They range from conservative to aggressive, and there's also an Emerald portfolio, and then there's also a Sapphire portfolio, which we'll talk about in a minute. Now basically, when you sign up for Raiz, you'll be asked which of these options to pick. And the main difference between these options comes from how Raiz actually invests your money. Well, more specifically, the type of assets that Raiz will invest your money into. See, an aggressive option will have more shares and more volatile assets that tend to grow at a faster rate but are also more volatile. On the other hand, the conservative option will invest your money in more safe assets like cash, term deposits, government bonds. Assets that won't grow as quickly but also don't fluctuate in value in the same ways that shares do. So your money will be safer, in theory, from something like a market crash. Now there's another investment option here, which is Emerald, and that is essentially an ethical option or an ESG option. So if you pick Emerald, instead of investing in just index funds, Raiz will invest your money in ethically conscious index funds. And then there's other options that basically are a balance between the two. You have moderate conservative, moderate aggressive. So let's actually look at how these funds work. So on Raiz's website, it has a breakdown for the moderately aggressive portfolio. So as you can see here, the portfolio is heavily invested in Australian shares, so 43.6% of your money will go into an Australian large cap ETF, and then it has another 13.8% in Asian shares, another 8.9% in US shares, there's European shares you can see there, and it balances these aggressive options out with smaller allocations into safer investments like the government bonds, the cash. Now the basic idea here is that as you go more aggressive, the allocations towards the growth assets like shares will go higher, and the allocations towards the safer investments like cash will go lower. And vice versa. With the conservative portfolio, you'll have a far higher weighting in the cash and government bonds, and a far lighter weighting in assets like shares. Just before we go any further, guys, I'd really appreciate it if you could leave a like on this video. It really helps out with the YouTube algorithm. And if you haven't already, why not subscribe as well? I do useful videos like this, and if that sounds like your kind of thing, I would love to have you on board. But let's get back to it. So as I briefly touched on, Raiz invests your money in ETFs. It's simply the middleman between you and ETFs. So you can actually invest in all of the funds that Raiz invests in by yourself if you have the inclination. But Raiz just certainly makes it easier and more accessible to invest in a big portfolio of ETFs very simply. And that's a big part of its appeal, along with the things like Roundups, because normally when you buy an ETF, the minimum investment amount will be about $500. So Raiz helps you invest amounts far less than that, a lot easier. So we'll quickly just touch on the Sapphire portfolio that I mentioned earlier. So this is another investment option, and it's sort of a hyper-aggressive portfolio, if you will. So In addition to the shares, government bonds and cash that Raiz invests in the aggressive portfolio, the Sapphire Portfolio also has a 5% allocation to Bitcoin, the cryptocurrency of course. So as you can see here, Bitcoin's at the top there with the 5% holding, but then it has large allocations to other growth asset classes like Australian shares, the US shares, European shares that we talked about earlier. As you can see, its allocation to safer assets like government bonds and cash is far lower than even in the moderately aggressive portfolio. It doesn't look like this portfolio invests in cash at all, and it has a very small allocation to government bonds, and the rest are in shares and Bitcoin. Now this is quite a new addition to the Raiz portfolio. They only brought it in a few months ago. And it's something that you might want to look at if you're after a super aggressive portfolio and don't mind a bit of volatility, which of course Bitcoin brings in spades. So although Raiz does make it easy to invest, it of course charges you for the privilege. So let's have a look at Raiz's fees. So Raiz will charge you $3.50 a month if your account is at $15,000 or under. So that adds up to $42 a year. If your account is over $15,000, it charges you 0.275% on your total account balance for the year. But that's only for one of the standard portfolios. Raiz also gives you the option to mix and match the different portfolios if, say, aggressive or conservative doesn't really fulfill your goals. But at the same time, they charge you more for this privilege. So if you go for the custom portfolio, you'll instead pay $4.50 a month, and for that's for balances under $20,000, not $15,000. And once you go over $20,000, you are charged the same fee, 0.275% per annum. Another thing to note is that the Sapphire Portfolio has its own set of fees as well. So if you choose the Sapphire Portfolio, you will pay $3.50 a month and the 0.275% per annum. So those two fees are combined. So that's definitely something to watch out for if you're going for the Sapphire Portfolio. So you might be wondering, is Raiz right for you? Well, there's really no right answer with that question. If you like being able to automatically invest, have your investing on autopilot, not having to worry about it, just your money goes in every week or every month, and maybe you find investing boring or not interesting, you just want to grow your wealth, then Raiz might be a good idea. It certainly makes investing very easy. It's something you don't have to worry about because Raiz uses ETFs to invest in, which automatically adjust themselves over time. They don't really require you to do much effort. And also, there's no doubt that Raiz's features like Roundups can be quite handy if you're trying to build wealth. On the other hand, Raiz is not free. It will cost you at least $42 a year to use it, which of course adds up over time, especially if you're only investing, $5 a week or something like that. It can add up over time. The other thing is Raiz does nothing that you can't do yourself. That's the bottom line here. If you're really excited about investing, then you can buy ETFs by yourself. You can diversify your portfolio by yourself. You can buy Bitcoin by yourself. And these obviously won't cost you anything apart from the normal brokerage. So anyway, guys, I hope you've got a greater understanding of the Raiz app. Just so you know, I have a referral code for Raiz in the description. And if you use that, you'll get a free $5 for your first Raiz account. So if you're thinking about Raiz, you might want to check that out. But other than that, guys, I hope you found this video useful. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Please remember to leave a like on the video if you found it useful. It really helps my small channel out. And please make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, because I'd love for you to join our growing channel. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I'll be back with some more videos soon, but for now, good night.